other sections as well regarding the soil and nutrient management. We are going to discuss with you about the pest, weeds, and disease management in cropping systems. So, for this purpose, that means for the discussion on the pest diseases and weed management, we are going to have sessions during 4 days. That means during 4 weekends. As today is the first day, there will be another 3 days. And my two young colleagues, Miss Amanda and Miss Achini, who were with you, with me as well, when we discussed about the agronomic practices in crop production. They will be also joining with me during next sessions. Then the other thing is during your practical visits to the faculty, during the field visit as well, you had an exposure to the practical aspects of these modules. If you can remember, in our laboratories, you were observing the specimens of related with the pest and diseases and weeds, as well as you have discussed with our teaching assistants the pest management, disease management, and weed management methods. So, now I am going to discuss with you some principles, theoretical aspects, concepts related with the pest management in cropping systems or cropping environment. So, in order to do the management of pest in an efficient manner, in order to manage the pest correctly, in order to understand the major principles of pest management, we have to understand the reasons for the development of pest problems. If we know why there are some organisms in our cropping systems that are considered as pests, so then it will be easy for us to manage them. Now, it is a simple thing. Now, we are observing these types of organisms on our crop. We know that they are part of the environment, and how they become such serious threat to our crop, why such problems are not available in the natural environments. If they are only causing problems in our cropping environments, what are the reasons behind that? Then, by understanding those reasons, we can easily think about their management. Because if we know the root cause of any problem in our life as well, then we can we can take actions on that root cause. So if we know the reasons behind the pest problems, then we can have some actions against those reasons, not just having some action on the pest, which is also important, But why they are appearing here, why they cause such a problem, those reasons are important for us to have a better management of those problems. So, because of that, I thought of having a session on the reasons behind that, behind this issue.
Recording in progress.
So we will start the session with this topic, the development of pest problems in cropping environments or in agroecosystems. So that will be our topic for our first part of the session. As I mentioned just now, we are going to understand what are the reasons for the development of pest problems in cropping environment. So to do that, now we will just remind what we have discussed about the agroecosystems earlier, how the agriculture has been started. If you can remember, we were discussing about the history of agriculture, how the food habits have been changed during our history, and the changes of food habits were the reasons for the development of agriculture. Now, we can remember that we started our food habit, our practices of finding food by searching for food in the natural environment. Then, due to many reasons, I am not going to repeat them. I just want you to remember what we have discussed. If you can remember these major 4 steps we have discussed during our previous discussions. So, due to some problems we have faced during the search for food in natural environment, we started growing plants near our shelters, residencies, and then later on, that cultivation we have done near our residencies in order to fulfill our own requirement, that were not sufficient enough, and we had to start the cultivation of the plants, crop plants in large scale. In addition to that, we started, if you can remember, during this period, when there were some problems, issues in our cultivations, to avoid those problems, including the problems of pest, we had the method of shifting cultivation. Can you remember? We mentioned about shifting cultivation or chain cultivation, and that system was the first ever cropping system in the history of agriculture. And then with that change of cultivations into cultivation systems like shifting cultivation, then we started growing plants in large numbers, in large scale, like in these paddy fields, maybe like in the plantations you are observing or working. Then those in those plantations also, or in those large scale cultivations, we had some problems to be solved, and at present we are having the systems, the large scale commercial systems that are based on the selection and establishment of some desirable varieties with desirable characters. And now we have some new technologies adapted for crop production, like this in our country also, we have some improved cropping systems, maybe some protected environments, then greenhouses, polytunnels, plant houses, propagators, and large-scale open cultivations like paddy fields, plantations, orchards. So many new concepts in agriculture had been introduced into the society, into the countries, so in our life. So then with those cultivations in cropping environments, new environments, starting from the cultivation of plants near our shelters in the history, we started from here, and since that, so since then, since what? Since the cultivation of plants near our shelters, we had to face the problem of pest. But before that, when we were searching for food in the nature, there were no such problems, but there were other problems. And compared to the primitive food habit we had earlier, at present, with the improved cultivation systems, the more attention we have to pay for the pest problems. That means there are many pest problems nowadays rather than in the history or in natural environments. So, we were searching for food in natural ecosystems like this, these forests, and then we have food production in these types of ecosystems, agroecosystems nowadays. And those are obviously, you can easily understand, no need to explain that these are two different environmental systems or ecosystems. So this one is a natural ecosystem, and this is an maybe more advanced, or maybe an artificial, or a different ecosystem than this natural ecosystem. So, and we are going to talk about the problem of pest management, necessity of pest management in these two systems. And obviously, there are no pests in, maybe we are not taking any action in searching for food in the jungle, but in agroecosystem, we have to accept that there are many pest problems, and we have to take actions to control those problems. So, now in order to understand how to do the management of the pest problems here, we need to understand why they are here, why not here. So, please take few minutes. I think 3 to 5 minutes is more than enough. So just have a comparison of these two systems in your note, in your book, or whatever the note you are having, and then you can share that with your friends in your team. So just have a comparison of natural ecosystems and agroecosystems, and specifically we are doing that in order to understand why some organisms become pest in this large scale cultivations of the developed varieties, develop cropping systems. So now it is up to you to help me to find out the reasons for the development of pest problems in agroecosystems. So yes, once you are ready, say after 3 minutes, we can share our information with our friends. So please attend to that. So the task is given here, comparing, let us compare these two ecosystems.
Recording stopped.
Yes.
Please.
In natural ecosystem, for example, lower productivity. In agriculture ecosystem, higher productivity.
Okay.
Then more species diversity in natural ecosystem. In agriculture ecosystem, less species like diversity.
Right. Okay. Please go ahead.
And natural ecosystem is a natural climate community, and agricultural ecosystem is the artificial community.
Now, can you please little bit elaborate that now in natural ecosystem, you said natural commodity or community?
Climate community.
Climate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then agriculture ecosystem is an artificial community prevented from reaching its natural climates.
Natural climate and natural community. In agroecosystem, you said, what do you understand by saying artificial community? What now? You are correct. You are correct. The community is artificial, not natural. Now here, if according to you, this is a natural community and this one is an artificial community. Before that, you mentioned that here there is a natural climate, here artificial climate, because we are applying maybe water, and sometimes in here it is not given, but in polytunnels, sometimes we are having heating facilities in greenhouses, glass houses, like that. So in that case, it is clear. But what you said is that in natural ecosystem, it is natural community, and here in agroecosystem, it is an artificial community. What do you mean by that? For me also, I feel that it is correct, and I would like you to explain that, why you said that it is an artificial community.
Agroecosystems are controlled by human beings.
What we control in agroecosystem by human being?
Irrigation, weed management, manuring, fertilizing.
Right. Okay. Now, regarding, you are correct. So in agroecosystem, we are controlling many things, like we do irrigation, we change moisture content, we provide sometimes artificial lighting, and we provide artificial aeration, nutrients. So many things we do by our effort, but that is not available in natural ecosystem. The previous comment regarding that in a natural ecosystem, it is natural community, and here it is an artificial community. Can you elaborate that? I think that comment, that comparison was given by one of you.
Natural ecosystems have many varieties, biodiversity. Agroecosystems have monocropping or less variety.
Yeah, it was, yes, it was mentioned that diversity is higher in natural ecosystem. Many plant species, many types of the plants. In agroecosystem, it is lower. There was an important comment regarding that, the important comparison that in natural ecosystem, it is a natural community, and in agroecosystem, it is an artificial community. Why such things has happened? If it is correct, how it has happened?
In the agroecosystems, people used inorganic fertilizer, natural ecosystems made by humans.
Right. Still, so that means we do manipulation. That is correct. During that first response we received, there was a good comparison saying that here it is a natural community, and here it is an artificial community. Now, that is the thing I would like to elaborate now. That in addition to that, what you have mentioned up to now, they are perfectly correct that we provide additional nutrients here, not in this one. I think that was Varunita.
Yes, sir.
Right. So can you explain what you have mentioned earlier regarding that natural community and artificial community, how it has happened? That is an important thing.
In the natural ecosystems, all living creatures are there are all living creatures, but artificial ecosystems organismsලා ගොඩක් අර දැන් natural ecosystem එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒකේ මේ organismsලත් ඉන්නවා අජීවී දේවලුත් තියෙනවා ඒ වුණාට agro ecosystem එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒකේ වගා කරපු දේවල් විතරයි තියෙන්නේ.
But we have non-living materials in agroecosystems as well. But in agroecosystem, as you said, the plants, majority of plants are cultivated plants, not natural plants. So regarding the statement by Varunita, can you add something more? Why it is a natural community and why this is an artificial community? What do you mean by a community?
community එකක් කියන්නේ ප්‍රජාවක් අර
Yes.
ජීවී සාපේක වලින් සමන්විත ගහන සමූහයක්.
Oh, right. That is correct. So those are a community means an interacting complex or number of
That one the stable stage, the climate.
yes, Varunita, yes.
Climax community is one of the stable stage.
Community is stable, right? And it is natural here,
Yeah.
right? And here it is unstable, not natural, artificial. So
Yes,
my
sir.
question is, why you say that here it is natural community, why it is artificial?
We are doing
Now, okay, it is what you said is perfectly correct. This is a natural community because the interacting populations, interacting species who are living here, they are selected naturally by natural selection. Nobody is there to select a dominant plant or dominant animal or dominant microorganism. All are selected by nature, natural selection. But in this system, now there are interacting populations, as you said, and those interactive populations are here because they are established here by us. Human being has selected the plant species to this agroecosystem. We can see that one species is dominant here. So who had selected that dominant species? Human being. So here the community is having less number of populations, I mean species populations, plant populations, and on each and every plant there can be some organisms. When there is a higher number of plant species, there can be higher number of other organisms who are living on those plants as well. So the community here is natural because the members of the community are being selected by natural factors or by nature. And here the community, plant community, microorganism community, or whatever general community is selected by the farmer because he is selecting the plants. He may not think about selection of any other organism, but due to the selection of some major dominant plant species, the other species who are depending on that plant will be having higher population, higher dominance. So that is the thing I wanted to elaborate, but you have mentioned that was perfectly correct and important comparison. So you two, if I'm correctly pronouncing or identifying you, Varunita and Shehari, you have mentioned correctly the comparisons, and now
Environmental equilibrium in the natural ecosystems, environmental higher equilibrium.
now we don't say it is higher equilibrium, but it is in an equilibrium, or the equilibrium position is stable in natural ecosystem. But in agroecosystem, some artificial equilibrium positions are being created by human being and it is not stable. The environmental, we call environmental balance, and that balance is due to some equilibrium positions of some populations of some organisms. Right. So, what you have mentioned, the points you have mentioned regarding the comparison of natural ecosystems and agro ecosystems, they are almost same as what I have thought to be included in the guidelines or in an outline of the discussion. So natural ecosystems, they are naturally created. So those natural ecosystems we are having, they are naturally created, and in each natural ecosystem, compared to the agroecosystems nearby or within that system, the biodiversity is higher in natural ecosystems. So that means number of species living in that ecosystem is higher compared to the number of species in the agro-ecosystem. Then, now in each plant species, each grass species, tree plant, whatever the plant, fruit plant, a palm plant, or whatever the plant species, in each and every plant species, there is a spectrum of organisms living in that crop. So, living in that plant species. So, animals, there is a group of animal live in these types of grasses. When it comes to other types of grasses, there are other animals. Likewise, when there are many species of plants, then on each and every species, there can be higher number of other organism species. That means finally, as there are higher number of organisms, higher number of species in the ecosystem, the number of genomes is higher, genetic diversity is higher. And obviously, the species diversity, it means higher number of species in natural ecosystems. And each and every species is creating a habitat for certain group of animals. So, the habitat diversity is also higher in natural ecosystems. Right. Then we mentioned that I can remember one of you mentioned that we do irrigation, we do nutrient management, we are maintaining the pruning and training practices. Whatever, there are controls by us. So, we control the cycling of materials, we control the water content in the soil. So, in these natural ecosystems, the dominant plant species, for an example, this is Horton Plains. So, in Horton Plains, the dominant grass species, those species are not grown by anybody or wildlife conservation department, but those are naturally grown. So, in Singharaja forest, there are many, a large number of plants, creepers in such a rainforest, but some scientists are in the opinion that the
විල්පත්තු
It is also a national park, and we can consider it as a national park, sorry, natural environment also. What I wanted to say is that in those natural environments, the dominant plant, dominant animal or whatever has been selected by nature. And in agroecosystems, the dominant plant is the crop plant, or dominant plants are the crop plant species. So the dominant species are selected in agroecosystem by farmer. In natural ecosystem, it is under natural selection. So nature is the selection factor. Then in natural ecosystem, it is a solar-based system absorbed by the leaves of the plant. In natural ecosystems, the plants that are absorbing energy, and that is the only energy source coming from outside. But in agroecosystem, there can be energy inputs like provision of some artificial sunlight, irrigation, and many operations carried out with the power of some energy source. So, but in nature, in now there is a list of characteristics of agroecosystem. I am going to have it later, but for the time being, I am just mentioning that in agroecosystem, energy is provided artificially, but in natural ecosystem, it is provided from solar rays, so sunlight. In natural ecosystems, the nutrient cyclic events, such as a water cycle and other cyclic events are common. Nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycling, all those operations are cyclic operations are in they are common as well as functioning well in natural ecosystems. Then as there are higher number of plant species in natural ecosystem, from each and every plant species, there are primary consumers of that plant. So this is an illustration like a kind of a cartoon or something like that, not a real picture. But so on each and every plant, there are different from each and every plant, there are many primary consumers, and then there are secondary consumers or natural enemies of these primary consumers habitating in the same environment. Then the secondary consumers, when they are taking their food, so they may they may consume not only one species of plant, but they are having cross connections with the other food chains, starting from other crops, right? So another one, what you have mentioned, I think you mentioned that in a natural ecosystem, the productivity is lower, and in agroecosystem, the productivity is higher. or output is higher. Now, okay, we will just accept that for the time being. And the last thing mentioned here is that in nature, the sustainability is higher. That means the things you have mentioned, the stable communities, stable equilibrium positions of the populations. And if anything is changed this year, so nature is trying to verify what is or what are the organisms in what kind of numbers. So it is trying to maintain, because it is having natural events of cycling, natural power sources, and now I think it is clear that when we say sustainable, what is the meaning of sustainable agriculture? It is agriculture without deteriorating the resource base. Then in natural ecosystems, the resources are recycled regularly. Therefore, no nutrient or no resource is depleted in natural ecosystem, but in the
long-term existence.
existence of what?
Mm,
Long-term existence of long-term existence of an equilibrium position or stable population we can consider. And now we were talking about the sustainability, higher sustainability in natural ecosystems. Then now you have mentioned that the productivity is low in natural ecosystem, and that is higher in agroecosystem. Now, I have a doubt on that. How can we say that productivity is as it is given here, if the productivity is an agroecosystem is lower, it is higher, and in natural ecosystem it is lower. But if we consider the pictures we are having, I'm going back to the same. Productivity is higher, and here it is lower. But when I am looking at this cropping system, the number of plant species is higher in this system, and it is covering each and every inch of the cropping system. But here it is not happening. And we finally took a decision to say that in natural ecosystem, it is having lower productivity, but here it is having higher productivity. But if I say that I am not agree with you, because here the number of plant species is higher, here maybe the number of species is lower, but one plant is grown with some productivity in that plant. So how you can say that here the productivity is lower? But looking at the plants, they are growing well. Nobody is applying fertilizer, but it gives a higher biomass. Why is that? Am I correct mentioning it here? But you have mentioned earlier that yield or productivity is one answer is already given here, because in natural ecosystem we do not take any output. Everything will be utilized in the within the system. Consumers are within the system, so there is no output. And according to that, if there is no output of energy, then that means we are not feeling any productivity in natural ecosystem. But in reality, it is having a serious natural environment productivity. Natural productivity is there. So, as we have already mentioned all the important characteristics comparatively, we can quickly go through regarding the agroecosystems. It is a system created by agricultural practices of human being, and it has lower or less biodiversity. Then, due to that biodiversity level, the genetic diversity, species diversity, and habitat diversity, they are some kind of secondary categories of diversity available in both systems. So, only thing is, in natural ecosystems, the diversity is higher. Generally, the biodiversity. Then you mentioned regarding the artificial community in agroecosystem, and this is how it is created. System is controlled by human being, internally or externally. We act as an external factor, but we are going into the system, resting there, planning there, and having the operations carried out. So, in order to fulfill our requirement, we select the dominant plant and other animal species. And in these agroecosystems, we use outside sources of energy other than the sunlight. Then in agroecosystem, the number of plant species in agroecosystem is lower, and because of that, the food chain number is produced. Then as the diversity is lower, the integration of processes is lower. As we take an output from the cultivation plots, that means there is a product, there are productivities of plants in agroecosystem. But if we consider the materials produced in agroecosystem and natural ecosystem, maybe we are having the same amounts. Only thing is, in agroecosystem or from agroecosystem, we take out the product, but in natural ecosystem, natural product is related, taken out, and consumed by human being. So, with all those reasons, we can say that the sustainability is lower in agro-ecosystem. So if it is not clear for you, please you can ask. Then I think I have to verify one important thing. Now, in these two systems, ecosystem, now, of course, I am asking a simple question with an obvious anticipated answer. Now, in these two, what you can say about the pest populations? Now, in these two systems, which system we observe pest, in which system we don't observe pest? Or do we have pest in both ecosystems?
In the natural ecosystem, don't have pests, but agro ecosystems have many pests and diseases.
Right. Why in agroecosystem the number of pests and diseases is higher?
It can't reduce the pests and diseases naturally, but in the natural ecosystems have predators, pathogens.
Right. So natural processes of controlling population is not available in the natural. They are not available in agroecosystem. But in a natural ecosystem, there are natural factors controlling the population. But now, still, I wonder whether we are correct when we say that, suppose that this plant is growing here also, right? We can't see such a canopy with this color, but just we assume that this plant species is grown here as well. So, then on each and every plant species, there are organisms who are living depending on that plant species. So, in your opinion, you said that in agro ecosystem, there is a higher pest attack, and in natural ecosystem, there is a lower pest attack. Are we correct when we say like that? So, okay, it's consuming time, longer time. So, what I can say is, now, you are correct when you say that there are higher number of pests in agroecosystem. I have no argument, but what is a pest? It is an organism that is causing hazard, harm to human properties, something like that. Then this one, conceptually, it is a natural one. It is not belong to anybody, even for human being. So um, in both ecosystems, there are primary consumers of the plants, primary consumers of the primary producers. Then some of those primary producers, they are coming into the agroecosystem as well, and they are consuming our plants here. What they did in natural ecosystem, they did the same thing. They were consuming the plants in natural ecosystem. When they are coming into agroecosystem, they consume maybe the same plant. Whatever the plant suitable for them as their food. So, what is the difference then? Same species feeding on the same plant. In agroecosystem, that consumer, that primary consumer is having higher number, large canopies. Now, can you elaborate again? Now, when we say in agroecosystem, the primary consumers in natural ecosystem, they become pest in agroecosystem. And one of you said that there is a higher pest attack. I would like to say there is a higher number of primary consumer species. And now, shall we specifically say that those are following are the reasons for higher level of primary consumers in agroecosystem per plant? And the number is that much higher, and because of that, they become pest also.
In the agro ecosystems, the one host for pests, but natural ecosystems are many hosts. There are variety, but agro ecosystems are not variety.
Less number of variety. If we have monocrop, maybe one major crop. If we have some mixed cropping, then we have some few, maybe several numbers of species, but not like in natural ecosystem.
Some agroecosystems have inter-host crops like hulantala.
Inter-host crops in wheat plants. In between plant rows, crop rows. What do you mean by inter-host crop?
ඒගොල්ලෝ අර මේ පෙස්ලාට ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් වගාව අතර තියෙන ඔය
Right. So that is we name them as alternate host of the pest. So your explanation is correct. Just the term is alternate host. So now in agroecosystem, the primary consumers of natural ecosystem, they become pest because their number is getting higher. They have, because of their number, they are consuming a lot in agro ecosystem. So their presence is higher in agroecosystem, and we are talking about the reasons for their higher presence in agroecosystem. So one reason given by you already, that the number of their host species is higher in agroecosystem, and their number, the number of their host plant is in lower number in natural ecosystem. So they have plenty of food for consumption, and because of that, their number is getting higher. On the other hand, any organism is having their natural enemies. Where the natural enemies are hiding, the natural enemies are hiding in their hiding places, their habitats. But the habitat diversity is higher in natural ecosystem. So there are many places for survival or places to hide for the primary, secondary consumers or natural enemies of the primary consumers. So in agroecosystem, maybe the primary consumers are there, but secondary consumers like birds or some other insects who are eating the pest, they can't live here because they don't have their habitat, place to rest. Now, this is the habitat for the primary organism, primary consumers, that means the pest. But for natural enemies, there is no much room for their survival. So generally, the natural factors that are controlling pest in natural ecosystem, that is not available in agroecosystem. So in a summary, it is like that. So when we consider the idea about the pest,
සර් මේ අර ඇග්‍රෝ ඉකෝසිස්ටම්ස් වලට ඉනෝගනික් ෆර්ටිලයිසර් දැම්මහම ඒවා ලක්ෂූරියස් කන්සම්ප්ෂන් එක හින්දා මාංශල වෙලා ඒකිනුත් පෙස්ලා වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැද්ද?
yes, in agroecosystem, because of the higher level of inputs, maybe sometimes unnecessary or excessive level of nitrogen, there can be a succulent, more attractive plant for the pest. So because of that, their number is also getting higher. So the quantity of the host is higher in agroecosystem, and the available plants in agroecosystems, they become more artificial, more succulent, higher quantity of biomass is available. So because of that, the number of pests is higher in agroecosystem. Correctly said, number of primary consumers become a level of pest. So then they create many problems. Now, as there is a problem of higher population of the pest, there is a necessity of controlling their population. Now, we have compared the two ecosystems, and in one ecosystem, in our agroecosystem, we are observing pest problems. So we have to manage the problem now. So we can see this person is trying to manage that problem by using a chemical on the organism that is considered as a pest. Anyway, so now we have to think about the management strategies. Now, depending on what we have discussed up to now, can we say that what can be done to reduce the pest problem? But before going into that, I would like to say, now you mentioned that in natural ecosystem, there are many natural factors controlling the primary consumer population. So, in agroecosystem, the factors controlling primary consumer population is lower. That means the organism who are consuming the plants, their number is higher in agroecosystem. So, natural factors controlling their population. For an example, there is a caterpillar, and in the natural ecosystem, I can simply say that there are many natural factors controlling that caterpillar population, and those factors are not available in agroecosystem, and because of that, caterpillar population becomes higher. So, one factor we mentioned, that is natural enemies, predators. Then they are facing diseases. Then the insects prefer, many insects, they prefer high humidity, the conditions of some optimum temperature.
Biological pesticides like Bacillus thuringiensis.
Now that is, it is a bacteria that is causing a disease in some pest. Now, they are available in nature. Not only that bacteria, there are many other organisms. So, that is when we are applying it, it can be a pesticide. But in nature, we don't say that it is a pesticide. It is a natural factor. It is a pathogen causing disease in insects. So, in nature, those are natural factors. That means the biological factors controlling the primary consumer population. So, the pest problems arise in agroecosystem due to many reasons. Now, up to now, we have discussed those reasons in our discussion, right? If we just list, right? If we prepare a list of reasons for development of pest status by a primary consumer, if I put the question in a different manner, now, what are the reasons for the development of pest status by a primary consumer in agroecosystem? What are the reasons for the development of a pest in agroecosystem by a primary consumer in natural ecosystem? So please have your list, and then let us now we have discussed about that. I am just asking a repetition. So all of you, please have a list of reasons for the development of pest in agroecosystem by primary consumers of natural ecosystem. So everybody, you please write. I will just request some of you to read out your list. So I'm asking from you the reasons for the development of a pest by a primary consumer who was in natural ecosystem. So I will just invite some other members. What about Tharushi? Can you list out your reasons? Those reasons we have already discussed. So Tarushi is silent. Then Sahan. Then Rushan. Rushan. So Tarushi, Rushan, Sahan, all are silent. Then Parami. Prasant. Mubin. Ishani. Right. So as the time is going on, then I'll go back to those who are frequently communicating. Varunita, your list of reasons. Varunita, can you hear me? Right. Then Shehari finally came to you.
Loss of the biological enemies like pathogens, predators. As a result of monocropping system, it can't reduce the pest and diseases. Growth of the alternative host of crops. Pest become the host of these crops. Misusing of some inorganic fertilizer because the crops are luxurious consumption of fertilizer. As a result, tissues become softy.
Right. So if I repeat and maybe little bit change the terms. So one is that one of the major reason is that in the agro ecosystem, the primary consumers are having higher number of host plants, food sources. That is one reason. And when it is a monocrop, it is so much higher. Then the other thing is the crop plants are given higher level of inputs, nutrients, sometimes excessive levels. It is not the recommended level. But anyway, even with the recommended level, crop plants are at a good condition for consumption by primary consumers. And if they are given higher, maybe excessive levels of nitrogen, that is creating succulence of the plants, and the pests, primary consumers, are more attracted into the cropping system. And the other thing is, due to the lack of habitats, the natural enemies are in lower numbers in agro-ecosystem. So because of that, the natural control by natural enemies is higher in natural ecosystem, but natural control by natural enemies in agro-ecosystem is very low. Then when it comes to the problems like weeds in agro-ecosystem, now some weed plants may become alternate host of the primary consumers. So because of that, the primary consumer number will be higher because they are having alternate host when the primary main host is not available. Then the optimum conditions provided to the crop by us will be sometimes optimum for the pest or the primary consumer as well. Then some of our actions in agro-ecosystem, maybe land preparation, maybe some fertilizer application practices, will be destroying the natural enemies. Not only their habitat is destroyed, maybe sometimes the natural enemies are also destroyed.
Like dragonflies using pesticides?
Yes, dragonflies, praying mantids, birds. So they are destroyed by agrochemical applications, especially the pesticides are toxic for natural enemies also. Then the host plants are located nearby because of the recommended spacing. Primary consumers can complete their life cycle quickly, start quickly new generations. So because of that, their population becomes higher. So now we are talking about those reasons for development of pest. And if we know some of those reasons, how we can control those reasons. Now, if primary consumers are at higher level and become a pest due to the excessive level of fertilizer, I can try to have balanced fertilizer. Likewise, understanding those reasons will be very important. Now, at present, I am not going to talk about how those reasons are going to be changed by us. But instead of that, I thought of first thinking about how the ancient farmers, they have controlled the pest at that time. So they look at the nature as what we have done just now. So they have looked on nature, and by looking at the natural conditions, how the pest is under control in nature, they were trying to provide those conditions in agroecosystems also. So they saw that the some pests, they are going away from human being and they are disturbed by our presence. So they put scarecrows in their field. In addition to that,
Dear Holman,
so those are factors chasing away, repelling the pest. Now, deer Holman means it is we called now there is this correct singular name. Through the water stream, they put up some moving objects, and sometimes they create some sound making machines, equipments, instruments. Then the scarecrow is scaring primary consumers. Not only that, this scarecrow is a place for resting of natural enemy birds. So we took examples from nature, and those lessons were useful in controlling the pest. Then we say that get closer to nature means it is not physically getting closer. It is not physically that we are going to grow crops near to natural environments. No. When we say get closer to nature means we are preparing our cropping system in a way that the cropping system is ecologically similar or near to the natural ecosystem. That means that in the agro-ecosystem, if we create the natural conditions that are controlling primary consumer population, it is getting closer to the nature. And we mentioned earlier that when the pest problems are higher in one location, like in this China, we change that place and go away to start cultivation in another place where we thought that the pest problem is lower, right? So that was about the understanding on pest problems, how the pest had increased their numbers from a lower number as primary consumer in natural ecosystem. They become a higher number in agro-ecosystem. So what we are given as our task is to understand what is to be done. First thing is to understand what are the organisms that are considered as pests, and then what are the factors creating them as pests, and then how to control them. Those are the things to be discussed within the given period of time. So you have mentioned some actions to control the pest, like use of traps, then I mean how our ancient farmers did that. They have
cultivation.
Yes, we just mentioned about that shifting cultivation was used, and it can be considered as a method of management adopted by the ancient farmers. So this picture it shows that there was a China here. Maybe it is still there, but they have the practice of shifting cultivation, because when we start a new China in somewhere else, in that place, because of the less influence by us, in that place there can be some more natural enemies, natural factors controlling the pest or primary consumer population. So with that thought, we can have a break for 15 minutes. If you want to ask anything from what we have discussed up to now, any question?
ශස්්‍ය භෝග මාරුව ගන්න පුළුවන් නේද මේකට මේ ancient farmers ලාගේ?
They have done, yes, crop rotation. They did it because they saw that now initially the pest problems are aggravating, increasing in one crop. Then they thought of changing the crop next season, and they did it correctly. So thinking that in another crop there may not be repetition of the same pest problem again. It is one of the most effective action they have taken to control pest. Okay, then if you don't have any more question, we will go for a break, 15 minutes, and we will start our next part after the break. Right, so be connected. We will be continuing again. Discussed about how some primary consumers of plants, they become pest in our crop production systems or in agri-eco systems. So during that, we just mentioned that the organisms who are consuming plants and ecologically they are primary consumers, and later on in the crop production system they become pest because their population has been increased, and because of the higher number they are consuming some huge amounts of the biomass of the plants, crop plants, and because of that we are unable to consume as we like. So because of that we consider them as pest. So during crop cultivation we have to face the problem of regulation of the pest population. So in general, the crop production, in our cropping systems, it has many problems or factors that are creating damages, hazards to the crop. So those factors that are damaging or creating hazards or reducing the production can be categorized into two categories. Now, just now we mentioned about one category. But not only the primary consumers or the living factors, biotic factors means living factors. So not only the living factors, there are other factors also that are damaging our crops. What are those other factors? I mean, abiotic factors that are reducing our crop production. Yes, please unmute your microphone and you can.
Temperature, humidity, pH value of soil.
Temperature of the atmosphere, temperature of the soil, humidity of the atmosphere, humidity or moisture in the soil or substrate, then pH
Water
level.
retention capacity.
Can you please repeat?
Water retention capacity.
Right, so that is again, it is moisture in the soil or water retention. It is a characteristics of soil. So soil moisture content, it depends on water retention capacity, right?
Sunlight.
Yes, of course, sunlight. So wind
Wind direction.
wind direction, maybe wind, especially the wind velocity, wind, carbon dioxide concentration, oxygen concentration. So many abiotic factors. Now, when you list them, for me, it feels like that you are listing the crop growth factors, because we know that temperature is essential. There is, now, there should be a certain temperature for photosynthesis, respiration, cell division. Then the moisture should be there in the soil. There should be relative humidity in the atmosphere. Then there should be a pH level. There should be a wind for removal of carbon dioxide and supply of oxygen. On the other way, for photosynthesis, supply of carbon dioxide. Then, so many those things what you have mentioned. For me, they are crop growth factors. How can you argue with me? If I say that temperature is not something hazardous, plant needs temperature. Sunlight is not a bad thing. Plant needs sunlight for photosynthesis. Soil moisture is important for absorption of water from the soil. So that is my argument. What do you say?
Excuse me, sir, due to increase of temperature due to climatic changes, so that may be harmful to the plant growth.
Right. So I think what you mean is that now temperature is important for the plant. That is true. But the temperature should be at a certain level, optimum level, or within a range of temperatures. Then if it is too much higher than the expected temperature, or if the temperature is too much lower than the expected temperature, yes, then that is not an optimum condition. It can be a factor that is damaging our plant. Same with moisture. Moisture should be there, but excessive moisture will create a lot of problems. So I am not going to talk about all those, because we have mentioned about crop growth factors at the very beginning of the course. So what we say as abiotic factors that are damaging crop plants during the production, those are actually the extreme levels of some crop growth factors, maybe. Than that, so in addition to the extreme levels of crop growth factors, we can say there are some unexpected weather conditions, cyclones, then maybe floods, many disasters of climate, weather, like that. Then, of course, we have to control the hazards caused by abiotic factors also. So the thing is, when the abiotic factors are considered, now as they are crop growth factors, most of them, not all, but most of them are crop growth factors, a good farmer, a good planter will look at the abiotic factors and he will provide the required level of crop growth factors, optimum level of abiotic factors. So a good agronomist, a good planter will be managing abiotic factors properly. There is no necessity of discussion on the management of abiotic factors again, because under nutrient management, soil management, under agronomic practices, we were talking about the provision of optimum levels of abiotic factors to the crop. Then, of course, the other part, the manipulation of biotic factors is also important. But we have to pay special attention to biotic factors, so we have to take some special actions, special program of actions to control the biotic factors in cropping systems.
Nitrogen fixing.
Pardon me?
Nitrogen fixing, micromeso macroorganisms.
Yes, now we are considering, you are correct, Chihari, it is a biotic factor that is affecting crop growth. At present, we are considering the factors that are creating hazards, damages to crop plant production. So the nitrogen fixing organisms and those are symbiotic organisms or beneficial organisms who are creating some benefits to the plant. Now I am focusing on the biotic factors that are having some negative effects, damages to crop plant production.
Pathogens.
Yes, pathogens, then other consumers, microorganisms, then any other example?
Macroorganisms like rats, cockroaches.
Now, cockroaches, rats, monkeys, elephants, squirrels. So all are biotic factors. So there can be a lengthy list of maybe unlimited number sometimes damaging our crops. So those groups of, those organisms, the living factors, living organisms that are damaging crops can be categorized into 4 major groups, and they are, of course, a group of plants that are grown unnecessarily without our invitation, our influence, without our effort. They are also creating problems for the plant production. Compared to the other groups of organisms, weeds are not actually creating a physical damage or physical hazard, but they are competing with the crop for the factors, inputs given to the crop. Then another group, invertebrates, that means the organisms without vertebra or spinal, we call that spine or spinal cord, that is going through the spines. Anyway, invertebrates. Then not only invertebrates, there are vertebrate organisms who are damaging our crops. And also, as you mentioned, there are microbial disease agents, pathogens who are causing the plant diseases. So Those are four major groups of plant pests. There can be some more, some additional groups that are not mentioned here, but those are the major groups of pest organisms or biotic factors that are damaging our crop plants. So, but just one thing I would like to say, in each of these groups, there can be some organisms that are neutral. So not all microorganisms are plant pathogens. Not all vertebrates are plant pests. Not all invertebrates are plant pests, but they do, some of them are causing hazards to the crop plants. So these groups become pest, or we name them as pest. Why? Now, in the natural environment, these are also playing the same role as we in natural ecosystems. But in our cropping system, when they do the same thing, this one, we name them as pest. But ecologically, what they do? Can some of you define a plant pest, a pest of a cropping system, crop production field? Have you defined a plant pest? There can be several versions of correct definition of a plant pest.
මිනිසාට හෝ මිනිසා විසින් ඇති කරන ලබන සත්වයකට හෝ මිනිසා වගා කරන ලබන භෝගයකට ආර්ථිකමය වශයෙන් හානි කරන සත්වයෙක්.
Okay. An organism that is damaging human being or human belongings, living or non-living belongings, can be considered as a pest. Then, any other, by some other one? Another definition? Varunita?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Your opinion, your definition?
That can directly or indirectly issue cases, case damages, or case disasters in any planned or planned project.
Right. So in addition to what we have mentioned earlier, an organism that is causing damage directly or indirectly. So that means there can be some indirect damages. Earlier we have mentioned the direct damages. So can you give an example of an indirect damage caused by such an organism that can be considered as a pest?
Allergies.
Now, allergies are, at present, it is a problem for us or animals. We are talking, considering the plants, crop plants.
Diseases, viral diseases. like
So,
by
right.
vectors.
So what they do now, is it possible to include pathogens, diseases into the definition you have mentioned earlier? So in addition to what you have mentioned, that Varunita mentioned that an organism that is causing indirect damage can be also considered as a pest. So she has added some additional idea to the definition you have mentioned. So my question was, what are the examples of indirect damages by an organism? Pathogens are creating direct damages. Yes. Okay.
Climate change.
Huh? Can you please repeat?
Climate change.
Climate change? Is that so? Now that is an abiotic factor, non-living factor. Yes, Ishani?
Those that affect parts of plant other than fruits.
Plants, other?
Than fruits. Indirect pests.
Yes, other than the crop, there are plants that are grown, unwanted plants. They create damage, but what kind of a damage? They are competing with the plants, crop plants, and reduce the production. So all those things can be included by having a some small description like this. So the organisms that are competing with people for food or fiber interfere with raising crops and livestock. So the wheat plants or plants other than the crop plant, as you mentioned, they are competing with the crop for nutrients, maybe some other material like
Sunlight.
sunlight, yes. Food actually they produce, but to produce food, aerial factors.
Area, ඉඩකඩ,
Yes,
atmosphere.
space, right, okay. Space for cultivation. So those are things. Right, so this simple definition can be considered by us for our further discussion. Then accordingly, we can see the categories of organisms that are creating problems for our crops. So weeds, we are going to have some another detail, little bit more detailed part of the session regarding the weeds, but generally, what do you mean by a weed? So they are unwanted plants, undesirable plants, but maybe in our cropping field, as we have mentioned earlier, some of our crops are affected by this serious growth of undesirable plants. So it is any plant that grows out of place. So without an invitation, without our liking, they are growing in our crop production system. So generally, weeds adapt well than our crop to the local climate or weather in agro-ecosystem. And the weeds are capable to compete successfully with the cultivated plants. That is why we are trying to control the weeds. Some characteristics of weeds: they produce large number of seeds, and the seeds can be remain
Well-grown root system.
they have, yes, well-grown root system, very efficient dissemination system. So many characteristics for their adaptation, and we call they can be persistent. That means establishing survival for a longer period of time. They are difficult to be eradicated. And once they are established, they compete with our crops for water, nutrients, light, space, and other crop growth factors. So in addition to that, the weed plants, they can interfere with our farming operation. Just simply, weed plants are now even they create difficulties in picking the fallen fruits, fallen nuts of some plants like cashew. Then when the weed plants are grown on our field, we have to go for frequent slashing or growing, slashing or use of some other mechanical methods to destroy weeds, or else we have to apply the maybe some agrochemicals like weedicide. So some weeds can, maybe you are thinking about the benefits of weed plants. Yes, some of the weeds can be considered as a cover crop, but in reality, when you say crop, cover crop, that means it has to be
Reduce the soil erosion.
yes, then the beneficial roles played by weeds can be like that. So we will be talking about the weeds in detail a little bit later. So what I wanted to mention was that to say that there is a weed plant that can be a cover crop. So in such case, when once we grow the weed in a place where the covering is done by that weed, there should not be any competition with the crop plants. Otherwise, the cover crop can be maybe a serious threat for other actions, other operations in the field. So the wheat plants, some are
Live animal foods, herbs,
can you please repeat what you have mentioned?
animals, foods, herbs.
Yes, so some wheat plants can be useful for preparation of some animal feed, and then organic or maybe as a live mulch, fertilizer, like that. So some are toxic to, if we consider some more hazardous things, toxic to livestock. When they feed on some weed plants, there can be some problem of digestive tract. So we are here considering mainly the grouping or classification of the pest groups. In addition to weeds, as we mentioned earlier, there is a group called invertebrate pest. That means the organisms who are without the backbone or vertebra. It includes the insects. There are some close relatives in taxonomic groups. Nematodes, snails, slugs. Those are some of the major invertebrate pest groups.
Mollusca, arthropoda.
Now, when you say insects, that is, yes, they are the arthropoda animals. Snails and slugs are from Mollusca phylum. So nematodes are from the Annelida phylum. So when we say invertebrate pest, without, that means animals without vertebra or backbone. Just give me 1 minute.
Recording stopped.
Invertebrate pest earlier, like mollusk or snails and slugs. Then insects, and specifically you mentioned few insects. So there will be a session on insect pest separately, but for the time being, if we just consider the major characteristics of insects. Now, looking at these organisms, what can we say as their major to distinguish insects from other animals? Now, there can be some close relatives of insects, but when you compare with the other groups of animals, what can we say as major characteristics of insects? Yes, please.
Insects have 3 parts of the body.
3 body segments, yeah, 3 parts, okay.
Segmented body, abdomen, head.
Right, head, abdomen, and thorax, this part, right? Then, so here it is a little bit difficult to separate, but head, thorax, abdomen, and they have 3 pairs of legs. That means total 6 legs.
They are jointed parts.
Yes, the legs are jointed, body is segmented. So those are the major features. In addition to that, they have 2 pairs of wings. Adults, in adult stage, most of the insects, now they have wings, but in immature stages, sometimes they don't have wings during the immature stages. For an example, caterpillars, now they are immature stages. In immature insects, now during the caterpillar stage, they don't have wings, but the adult moth or butterfly, they have wings.
ඒගොල්ලෝ අර පූර්ණ රූපාන්තරණයක් පෙන්නනවා සමහර අය අර්ධ රූපාන්තරණයක්
Yes,
පෙන්වනවා.
there are insects metamorphosis. We called it the changing pattern of their way of life, anatomy and morphology. So which has to be studied in detail in a separate course or separate time. With the time limitation and given program, we do not discuss, but you are correct. In insect life cycle, they have a phenomenon called metamorphosis. That is the changing stages. For an example, the butterfly lay egg. Hatching out one is larvae, and larvae is feeding on the plants, caterpillar. Then after completion of the feeding, it becomes pupal stage, inactive stage, and then from pupa, an adult is emerging. So that is complete metamorphosis. Then the pest insect like aphids, maybe plant bugs, they are eggs. When the adult female is laying an egg, hatching out young one is called as a nymph. It is similar to the adult, but not having wings. And they don't get into pupal stage. So that is some major differences between two types of life cycles. The first one, the butterfly is having complete metamorphosis. As you said, that Sampurna Rupantarana. And the other one, aphid, is having incomplete metamorphosis. So anyway, it is a topic of your future discussion. So then there are some close relatives, taxonomically, close relatives of insects like ticks, mites, spiders, and they have only two body parts or body segments. The head,
Isa ශීර්ෂාවරසය.
yes, head and the abdomen and thorax combined together. So that is why we can't differentiate. But in order to differentiate insect from mites, ticks, spiders, we can use that feature. And
They
the other,
have 8 legs.
yes, they have 4 pairs of legs or 8 legs. And the spiders are usually not considered as pest. On our crops also, usually what they do is beneficial because they catch the insects or the pest on our crop. So
They are carnivores.
I didn't get you. Can you please repeat?
They are carnivores.
Carnivores. Yes.
Yes, sorry.
They are carnivorous and they catch their prey. So they are natural enemies of many pests. Then there is another group, nematodes, worms. But now, just to compare, now in the soil, there are worms like this, but they are actually larval stages of insects. Then some of the, actually, there are smaller, most of them are microscopic worms. They are nematodes, and it is a separate group of organisms. Just to differentiate, I put these two pictures. So these are normally now visible through our naked eye, but the nematodes are microscopic worms. Then the mollusk, the snails and slugs. Now this is a snail, and the slugs, they are sometimes causing serious damages to crops, and their management is more difficult than the management of insects sometimes, because now their active time is usually the time with cool climate, moist climate. That means at night they are more active. So you can't apply a chemical in a way that while you spray that they are not destroyed, because to get real contact with the body, you have to pass through this outer, it is not outer skeleton, but the protective capsule like structure, and slugs are not having it. But anyway, due to their nocturnal life, very difficult to control them. So there is another group of pest vertebrates. The large group, I mean the animals or organisms are large. So animals with the backbone. So like, now these are examples of vertebrates, right? Not all of these are pest. I just give an example. So in some aquatic plant production, there can be some pest fish. Some amphibians may damage our plants, but they are not major groups of pests. Reptiles are usually natural enemies of pests. There are pest birds as well as beneficial birds or natural enemy birds of the pest. Some birds are catching many insects, so they are beneficial. Then there are, yes, we call that jungle cockle. Aticocula is beneficial organism, catching snails and slugs mainly. And sometimes they damage our beneficial birds by destroying their eggs, eating their eggs also. So anyway, that jungle cockle or Aticocula is a beneficial bird. So some birds are serious pests of some crops. Any example of serious pest birds? Yes, you were trying to say? Teshala? Yes? Teshala or Teshala? I'm sorry about my inability to make out correctly.
Teshala.
Okay, Teshala, what was your idea? You wanted to say something? Right. So, any example of serious pest of some crops from the group bird?
ධාන්‍ය වර්ග කන කුරුල්ලෝ.
Yes. So the name?
Sparrow.
Right. A good point. So sparrows,
Parrots.
parrots. Yes.
Peacock.
Parrot, peacock. These days, the peacocks are becoming serious pest in many areas. They destroy many crops, not only cereals, and the parrots. So they are obviously, the parrots are destroying fruits, cereals, even though we, some of us, not all, some of us are keeping parrots at home as a pet bird, but for the farmers, they are creating disaster. Then actually sparrows, they are named in Sinhalese or maybe in other languages. Sometimes they are named as, how can you say, the Vikurulla or the grain eaters. But you are correct, because sometimes some species of sparrows, they are flying in flocks, larger groups, and damaging our paddy fields in our country and the cereal crop production fields in other countries. But at the same time, sparrows, they are acting as a beneficial organism also. What they do as benefit, sparrows? Any benefit?
බර්ඩ්ස් ලාගේ බෙනිෆිට්ස්ද
Sparrows, especially the benefits by sparrows. Maybe generally, okay, benefits of birds in general and specifically the benefits of sparrows. That can be considered as benefits by birds also.
ඒගොල්ලෝ පෙස්ට් ලාව කනවද
So I'm asking you the question. Yes, your guess is correct. Sparrows are very efficient natural enemies of many insects. So sparrows, then magpie, the jungle warbler, Demalicha, Polkicha, the magpie, then sparrows. Sparrows are especially beneficial. So I don't have pictures here, but in many countries, they put up or they prepare, just like what we do at home. We create, we make, sometimes we are making the birds houses for sparrows. අපි ගේ කුරුල්ලන්ට කූඩු හදලා දෙනවා, නැත්නම් මුට්ටි තියනවා. But in certain countries, they prepare specifically the large.
පැතිරීමට උදව් කරනවා.
Patarushi, can you repeat it?
පරාග පතුරවන්න උදව් කරනවා.
Actually, the sparrows are, they are not helping in pollination, but they are beneficial in catching insect pest. So, because they are coming into the crops, once the grains or cereals, the seeds, the grains are developed, not during the flowering season. So, but they are catching insects in huge numbers. So, to attract them, we can make houses for, now during the period of flowering, up to flowering, they keep houses. And then what you said, as a pest also, they damage grains. So to protect from the sparrows during that period, they are covering using some nets, but in large scale cultivation, it is difficult. Then they make sounds to chase the sparrows away. But they are catching huge numbers, large number of insects per day. So because of that, sparrows are considered as beneficial organisms also, right? But you are correct when
මෙයාලට කුරුළු පාලුවක් තිබ්බොත් එහෙම කන්නේ නැද්ද මේගොල්ලෝ? ඒ වගේ විතරක්.
කුරුළු පාලුව තියන්නේ ඇත්තට මේගොල්ලෝ තියාගන්න තමයි. But they are now when we give a special place, we have done it, and now also it is recommended to keep a place for bird survival. And from the now we have to keep a place like that so that they will survive in that place. But from other places, we have to chase them away. You are correct. So in other places, I mean, in our main field, we have to protect the crop from the birds, maybe by having that type of, what once you mentioned in the morning, that certain types of, we call, I don't know whether it is correct translation, the water ghost or something like that. So then especially the sound making devices, අපි කියන්නේ ටකය කියනවා, and then some are firing crackers, then putting up nets, which is difficult in large scale. Then mainly the chasing them away, repelling them by making sounds is something necessary. So anyway, some of the birds are, of course, pests. So you correctly mentioned about them. Then they sometimes they distribute some pathogens, disease-causing organisms. So there is no picture of parrots I have used here. But then other than birds, there are rodents. I can remember once you mentioned about the rats. So there are mammalians who are interfering with our activities, transferring some human diseases also. And at the same time,
Squirrels.
yes, repeat it, please.
Giant squirrels.
Yes, it is another group of mammal. Actually, the giant squirrel is a mammalian species that is damaging our crop. Now, one thing I have to mention, which is given here, now those animal pests, giant squirrel, then elephants, some grazing animals, now we like them. We like to see them in national parks, but it is just like weed plants. When they are in our crop production sites, the mammalians, we don't want them because they damage our crop. So when the plants are out of their place, we consider them as weeds. When mammalians are out of their place, we consider them as pests. So the rats, the elephants, the giant squirrel, and in recent past, there were many discussions, news items regarding giant squirrels and another animal. Can you remember? In mass media about 2 months ago. As a serious pest now, elephants are destroying paddy fields. giant squirrels and another group, another animal species is damaging fruits, vegetables, immature coconuts are damaged by that group, including giant squirrels.
Monkeys.
Monkeys, yes, talk monkeys. They are serious pest nowadays. There was a plan to have some exchange program or some kind of a program to not, I don't want to say exporting, but some kind of a possible way of transferring some amount at least to other countries, but it was not fruitful. Then in the management of giant squirrel population, farmers are facing a problem. What is that problem? මේ දඬුලේන පලිබුද්දෙකෙක් බව දන්නවා farmers. But
National animal.
which kind of an animal? Can you please repeat? I didn't hear you. Probably you were telling about, yes, Tisari, you wanted to say?
National animal.
Yes, that is correct. So that is the thing I wanted to mention. Giant squirrel is national animal. ජාතික සත්වයා එකට කියන්නේ චීරපයි සත්වයා කියන්නේ නැහැ. But we have national butterfly, Sri Lankan lace bird wing. Then national.
Galaslapayatti.
Huh?
Galaslapayatti.
Is that the scientific name?
Valikukula.
It is the national bird. Yes, jungle fowl. National bird is jungle fowl or Valikukula. Then national bird is that. National butterfly is, I don't have a picture here. We can see it later maybe. So, and this one. So when an animal is named as the national animal, then there are restrictions to destroy that. But it is a serious pest in some locations. So good looking animal, but a pest. Then some of us are visiting national parks to see elephants, but when they get out from their natural environment and invading our crop production sites, then they become pest. How serious elephants, how serious are they, you know. So rats, elephants, squirrels, right. Then in addition to that, those organisms, there is another group about which we are not much discussing today, because there will be another day regarding the plant disease management. So anyway, to make it complete discussion, so there are microorganisms who are causing plant diseases, and they can cause diseases in plants and animals. So not the same organism is causing disease to an animal and a plant. There are plant pathogens separately and animal pathogens separately. As we say, they are microscopic. Because of that, identification is difficult. So when the pathogen is not visible, when it is microorganism, then it is difficult to identify them, but we can identify them by some of their symptoms, the symptoms of their damage. So as we have already done the practical, I think you can remember, and you have taken pictures. So we have demonstrated the symptoms of fungal diseases, bacterial diseases, then viral diseases. But through the microscope also sometimes viruses and phytoplasma are not possible to be observed. But the damage symptoms of all those disease-causing agents are possible to be used for identification. So, as we have done the practical, it is easy for me to tell you that those symptoms, please refer them again. I saw that some of you were seriously observing them and taking pictures, drawing pictures. So that is how we are identifying the plant diseases. So in addition to what we have shown, maybe you can read more on internet, in the books. There are many books on plant diseases, so please refer to them. Right. So that was about the groups of microorganisms. Please remember there are bacteria, viruses, fungi, phytoplasma, diseases, and as you have observed the damage symptoms, those symptoms can be used to identify the pathogen or disease problem in your crop. Right. So that moves us to the end of the second part of the day. I would like to give you another 10 minutes break, and so I think that is sufficient, and we will have a little bit late lunch after the next session. So I mean that we will conclude the day's program after the next session. So please, yes, we will start. Now it is 2 minutes. Yeah, okay. So within 10 minutes, please be connected to continue the next session. If you have any questions from the things we have discussed up to now, any questions?
සර් ඒප්ස්ලා මේ විදිහට මේ කරදර කරන්නේ නැද්ද බෝගවලට?
Apes can monkeys.
වඳුරු
Vandrutamai, right? Monkeys, yes. Apes, yes. We have mentioned about them. I think you mentioned about monkeys.
මේ රිලවුනේ
Both are considered as two types of monkeys. What you said, that Rilava means stork monkeys, stork, T-O-R-Q-U-E, and the other one is Sri Lankan. There are many types, gray monkey, or anyway, your question is valid and correct question. All types of monkeys in Sri Lanka, they are serious pest of crops. You are correct. Especially in urban and in semi-urban areas, those are the major groups of pests. In home gardening also, the monkeys are serious pest. So good point and good question. And can you remember when there was an idea to exchange or export? I don't know whether what is the. It was a kind of an exchange program for a research project. It says like that, but I think now it is not going to be happen. Exchanging talk monkeys or Rilau into some private company in China. Anyway, yes, they are serious pest. In some areas, when you are asking farmers, what are the major pest problems in your area? Some are telling monkeys, Rilau and others. Some are telling wild boar. I saw some of your text message as well. So wild boar. Then stray cattle, Dadawati yana harak. Those farmers say we can manage insects by many methods. We can manage diseases, but how can we manage the purposely sent cattle, stray cattle, to our fields? So that is something pathetic. There are large-scale cattle owners. They don't have grazing areas. They just let the cattle go here and there. And at the end of the day, they are coming back to their cattle shed. So the whole day, they are damaging farmer fields. Right, okay. In the nurseries, once you prepare the nursery, sometimes until the plants are grown in the field also, when you prepare the planting holes, the planting holes or nursery beds are being damaged by sometimes dogs as well. Right, okay. So I just wanted to mention a few things until you raise another question. So if you don't have any question, just take 10 minutes and we will continue after that, the next topic. So any question?
Recording stopped.
A list of species by looking at the taxonomy group. Any special category of plants that can be considered as weeds? Yes, I'm asking your ideas.
Annuals, biannuals, perennials.
Right, okay. If I am saying annual plants, now chili is an annual plant. Then brinjal is an annual plant. Coconut, then mango, rubber, they are perennial plants. So if I say chili can be a weed plant, will you agree with me?
It can be a weed, another cultivation, with another cultivation.
Where? For an example,
In the coconut cultivation, chili become a weed.
now your logic is correct. Now in a coconut cultivation, now normally in a plantation like coconut, the chili can be, maybe the planter is growing chili under coconut as an intercrop or in a mixed cropping. But when chili plants are grown, maybe in a rice field with the rice, or when chili, some volunteer means the seeds are fallen without our effort. And if the chili plant is grown on a lawn, on a playground, then chili can be considered as a weed plant. But we can't say that all annual plants are weeds. Have you got my idea?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, but when we classify weeds, when we are grouping weeds, then you are correct. There are annual weeds, perennial weeds, biannual weeds. That is correct. So anyway, now a plant, if it is to be considered as a weed, what are the things to be fulfilled? It should be grown in an unwanted place. So even this population of this grass, if it is grown, if this is a picture of a paddy field, then this can be a wheat. But if it is grown maybe in a national park, if it is grown in a recreational park under control, under slashing, then it may not be a weed. So, what are the weeds?
Weeds are compete at the cultivation for space, sunlight, nutrition.
So, you mean the plants, when they are grown in an unwanted place or in a place of crop cultivation, they are competing with the crop, receiving or trying to receive the inputs given to the crop, then they can be considered as weeds. Yes. So, what are the weed plants? Normally, we name a plant as a weed when it is grown out of its normal place or proper place, or the plants that are undesirable because it is grown in unwanted place. As I mentioned earlier, maybe even a crop plant that is grown without our will, without our willingness, in a cropping field, as I mentioned earlier, if a chili plant is grown in a paddy field, and disturbing the paddy cultivation, so it has to be removed. So, by having such a plant, there can be a significant economic, environmental, and social impact on the cultivation. Another main thing is that the wheat plants are interfering with the human objects and competing with crop plants for the resources provided for crop plants, for common resources, for common growth factors. So, because of that, we consider them as unwanted or weed plants. To become a weed or to be established as a weed, they are having some specific performances, specific characteristics. So they produce large number of seeds per plant. And they become mature within a very short time period. And they quickly reach the maturity. By that way, they complete life cycle very quickly. So within a short period of time, they establish themselves in a place, start flowering, start seed maturity, distributing it and dying, just like insects also. Then because of that short duration, now of course there are plants, wheat plants with longer duration of the life. Then regarding the short-term plants, they become huge population because of that short period of lifespan. And then once they produce seeds, they disseminate it, and it will be disseminated in various places, but they will not be quickly germinating. It takes long time as dormant time. So if it is starting the life again quickly, so the seeds can be facing, seedlings can be facing serious problems of adverse environmental conditions. So the seed will be having long dormant period, and it will go through the hard times, hard environmental conditions, adverse environmental conditions. Because of that, they are very persistent, we call. That means they are long-term survival, surviving in the place of dissemination. Then they have different dispersal techniques. So more than one technique to propagate and establish. For an example, this one, taken away with the wind, and then the fallen seeds are then again they can be taken away with the water flow. And during the flower, now this is the over-mature flower, but at the mature stage, sometimes the whole flower is taken away by other animals. And so anyway, the single species may has different dispersal techniques. Most of the weeds, they are very efficient in photosynthesis. They produce higher amount of dry matter, photosynthetic matter, and their efficiency in water usage and nutrient usage is very high compared to the crop plants. And for their life development, they utilize only smaller quantity of resources. So they are fulfilling their requirements with very smaller quantity of resources. As the wheat plants are not an attended plants, they are grown naturally, and because of that, evolutionary, they become higher vigor plants. So I think you have mentioned in the previous session that when we establish crops, we give everything to the crops, and because of that, they are very succulent, not vigor, so not vigorous plants. So because of that, that means the well-attended plants are just like over-attended or well-attended kids like also. So the plants that are grown naturally, they have higher vigor. That is why native plants are used for breeding, for resistance and other problems in cultivation. Right. So those are some basic characteristics of wheat plants. Then their impact on our crop plants. What kind of impact, influence, negative effects mainly? They interfere with the equipment, crop cultivation equipment. They are competing with the crops for water, sunlight, nutrient, and space. Now, these are the things you have mentioned earlier. They reduce the production potential of crop plants because of their competition, and finally result in the poor yield. And sometimes when the weeds are grown, the aesthetic value of the environment is reduced. And on contrary, some of the wheat plants can improve the aesthetic value of the environment as well. So, depending on how you look at the flower or the plant, what is your point of view? So, anyway, for a farmer, whether the wheat plant is having aesthetic view or not, aesthetic value or not, he may not keep a wheat plants until so any other impacts like this? Now, these are common impacts by wheat plants to the crop production sites.
Reduce the farmer's efficiency.
Why the farmer's efficiency is reduced?
ඔය අර නිකන් කටු ඇනෙන වගේ දැන් දේවල් තියෙනවනේ ඒ වගේ එයාට අහිතකර බලපෑම් ඇති වෙන ඒවා.
So that means now they interfere with the farmer's working capacity or in farmers' efficiency in total. And because of the distraction, because of the interference, yes, there can be some reduction of the efficiency by the farmer. Any other?
ප්‍රොඩක්ටිවිටි එක අඩු කරනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
Yes, that is a common issue caused by many organisms.
සහල් එක්ක බජරි මිශ්‍ර වෙලා
Okay. Reducing the quality by having a mixture of right. Okay. Anyway, the some other impacts by the wheat plants, they block irrigation channels, drainage lines in crop production sites, or maybe in other places. They reduce the water quality during irrigation, especially the aquatic weeds. Alternate host for pests and diseases. So, other than that, wheat plants are acting as a host plant, alternate host plants, so many pests and diseases. I think you have many examples So we can see many viral diseases are surviving on wheat plants. Some of the sucking pests, the leaf curl complex virus transmitting organisms are available in the areas of cultivation of that crop. Now some wheat plants, they are hosting virus diseases. Some are hosting fungal diseases likewise. So now we have mentioned about the negative impacts by wheat plants, some of the negative impacts, not maybe everything. So as you mentioned as well, the irrigation channels are blocked, water reservoirs are with the certain wheat plants, including Iconia crassicus. So now we are going to, we study a little bit, actually better to say a little bit about weeds, because we want to control their population. So how to do that? First of all, we need to understand what kind of categories of plants are under the group of weeds. So by considering these characteristics like lifespan, habitat, harmfulness, woodiness of the stem, morphology of the stem, maybe morphology of the whole plant, woodiness of the whole plant can be useful for weed classification and characteristics. According to the classification, based on now we mentioned about this lifespan, habitat, harmfulness, woodiness, morphology. If we consider the lifespan, there are annual weeds completing the life cycle within a period of 1 calendar year or 1 growing season. Biennial weeds complete life cycle over so not exactly a complete year, maybe even less than 1 year period. If a plant is completing life cycle, we name it as an annual plant. So if the life cycle is over 2 growing seasons, and if that period is not extended than the 2 years period, we name it as a biennial weed. So when the weed species completing life cycle over 2 growing seasons, and not more than 2 years period, we consider it as a biennial weed. Dvivarshika, Varshika, Dvivarshika, and then perennial weeds. If a plant can regrow over a few seasons to many seasons, they are perennial weeds. Now, in the picture, it is an annual weed, but there is a perennial weed plant called Mimosa pigra, that is an alien invasive species. So then, now when we grow perennial crops, perennial plants, we have some things to be done. Our attention should be given to certain actions so that plant is maintained at vigor, immunity, resistance maybe, but that is our desire. But the wheat plants, they have multiple cycles. And the thing is, if we understand their growing period, then we can think about the easy management methods as well. That is why they are classified not only as the botanic classification, but weeds are classified as the organism that has then about the weed classification based on their habitat. So there are aquatic weeds, weeds that are growing in wet or submerged soils, like this one. Then a similar color flower, but not this one. There is a plant called Iconia crassipes or Japan jabber. Semi-aquatic plants, that means they are grown on dry or upland planting areas. And they have some tolerance to submergence. So semi-aquatic plants. Then many weeds are terrestrial. They are grown on dryland, upland weeds and lowland weeds. So those are the most commonly observed weed category, terrestrial. Then according to the classification, or according to the woodiness and harmfulness, there are two categories under each category, two subcategories: woody plants, non-woody heat plants. Then regarding the harm caused by the weeds, we can classify them into two categories: soft weeds and hard weeds. Now here the softness means it is not that the sense we are having on our hand. Soft weeds means their action is soft. They are soft in their action, not much problematic. But there are some hard weeds that are competing with crops and reduce the yield. Once they are established, maybe the whole system is destroyed because of the competition given by the weeds and reduction of the yield. So those are actually the behavioral, and this is a kind of an anatomical characteristic, woodiness. Then a little bit more complex classification based on the plant morphology, that means the outer appearance of the plant.
Truna pan palalpatra.
Yes, so the grasses, sedges, and broadleaves. Those are the three categories based on plant morphology. If we consider the grasses first, so the characteristics are normally given in the different places. So mainly if we consider the stem, in a cross section, it is cylindrical, the stem. the nodal area is solid, and internode is hollow internode, or we call hollow or hollow. That means see this, there is a space in between two nodes. So the culm is the name given for the stem of these grasses, and the central axis of this grass, it comprised of nodes and internodes, and on each and every node there is a brief bearing a leaf. So the grasses are having the fibrous root system. It is another important characteristics of fibers. Sorry, the root is planted, but the stem characteristic is named as fibrous root system. So root characteristics and stem characteristics are important. So in the stem, the nodes and internodes are important. A root system, whether it is a taproot system or fibrous root system. In grasses, the leaves are having two parts. One is the leaf blade, and the other one is the leaf sheath. I think now this is the leaf blade, and the other part is covering the internodal spacing of the plant. So then we mentioned about the stem of the grasses, then leaf. Now, even in this picture, we can see now this is the leaf blade, and the sheath is surrounding and creating a case-like structure which gives a support for the stem of the plant. So the inflorescence of this grass group is a flower head, and it is now flower head is at the terminal end of the stem. After the pollination, there is a color inflorescence of grasses is terminating, or we call it is the terminal end of the stem, consists of inflorescence, the flower head. So arrangement is on a common axis. The flowers are now these things actually to be now observed by yourself. Now just uproot a wheat plant, have a look at that, and identify whether it is a head of the leaf sheath and you can see the wrapping around the sheep. Blade is set separately. So inflorescence types are there: panicle, spike, and raceme. We are just looking at a panicle. So this is the leaf blade, as I mentioned earlier. This is the sheath covering the stem. It gives an additional strength to the stem. Then there is a collar of the leaf at the base of the leaf blade. So this is the whole leaf, and the place where the leaf is attached to the stem, it is the node. In the grasses, there is a phenomenon called tillering. It is a development of new branch or new shoot from the base of the mature plant. Actually, it is the tillering is even though it is drawn here, normally tillering starts even before the flowering stage as well. During the vegetative period, if the tillers are produced more, it is an advantage of having multiple panicles or rooting structures. So the other group, sedges, is it for identification? Sedges are having solid stem and there are no nodes or internodes. On the stem. The cross section is a triangular and a solid one, no hollow structure. And the other thing is, not like in grasses, the leaf is completely having just as a one segment, no two parts as grasses. In grasses, we mentioned that leaf blade and the leaf sheath is there. And the tillering ability of sedges is, of course, lower compared to the grasses. And the root system is similar to the grasses, fibrous root system. So the main characteristics to differentiate the sedges and grasses, they are solid stem, triangular shaped stem, no nodes or internodes available. We can have a look at the sketch on that. So this is the we call stem or culm of the main plant. In the inflorescence, there are spikelets produced, and spikelets are in the clusters. So, sedges and grasses are available in our field, and now they have some relativeness with some of the crop plants. So, for an example, when the grasses and sedges are grown on paddy fields, it will be very difficult to use the chemicals, herbicides or weedicides to control, because sometimes the field is prepared to grow rice plant, and as it is grass, from the family Poaceae. So the condition given for the crop is suitable for grass weeds as well. At the same time, if the grasses are applied a pesticide, a weedicide, it can be destroying the crop as well. Broadleaves, normal dicotyledonous plants. The name broadleaves means the leaves are usually broad with the common netted venation. Broadleaves are having taproot system. Here also the stem is solid and round in shape. Weeds, they are propagated by seeds, and almost all weed plants, they are having not only one propagation method. Most of them are having two propagation methods, like propagation by seeds and propagation by vegetative means. So vegetative structures of the plant, like tubers, bulbs, bulbils, root and stem, runners and stolons. So those produced seeds are disseminated through wind, by animals, by water, and by machineries. So all these are very serious. Why serious? Now, we can have a clear field once we do land preparation. Maybe we do it very perfectly, and we remove all the weed residues, and we apply some chemicals to destroy the available seeds. But through the winds, through the animals, if the seed is coming into our field, yes, it is a problem. So now we have to think about preventing that. Then it comes with animals, with water, and also by machines. Now, even the seeds that are attached adhere to the tires or other surfaces of a tractor can be causing a new weed population in another field where the tractor is going to work after working in one field. So that is happening nationally, I mean within countries, so even internationally, when the vehicles are imported, the used vehicles, used ones are having some attachments to the tires or other parts. So now it was a very brief introduction about weeds, but we need to think about some major aspects of weed management. So when we think about weed management, the most important thing is that prevention of the weed problem, because once a weed has been established in our field, it starts the absorption of nutrients and other resources from the cropping system. So if there is a weed already grown, that means a damage has already done. So prevention is better for weed controlling also. And it may be the best thing for management of other pest groups as well, maybe insects, maybe the plant pathogens or diseases. So for weed control also, it is important. So how to prevent the weed establishment in our field? Use of weed seed or propagule-free planting material. So your paddy, seed potato should not be contaminated by weed seeds. Not only that, when we apply organic fertilizer or some other inputs, manure, green manure, animal manure, there is a possibility of introducing some weed seeds or random checking of all consignments used for crop establishment is very important. Then use of clean equipment, as I mentioned, the equipment should not be having any adhered weed propagules. Then now, if my field is this one, and I am trying to keep it weed free, if a surrounding field somewhere here is having weeds flowering and producing seeds, then there can be a conflict between two people, because now this person wants to have weed-free surrounding, but as the surrounding area is not his or her, then there is a risk of entering of the weed propagules. Then, of course, quarantine measures for prevention. What do you mean by quarantine? It is generally it is the keeping away of an organism in order to prevent the damage establishment in the given field. So, for an example, when we import planting material from some other country, they are checked about the extraneous weed seeds. If there are any weed propagules, not only seeds, even other viable propagule, then the permission for entry of that consignment will not be given. So quarantine measures can be adapted in management of other pests, and not only in the international level, it can be adapted at your own plantation level, because not only at airport or seaport, so you can have your own quarantine procedures, because from one section of your crop production system, maybe polytunnel or greenhouse, there can be possible risk to infect the other ones. So what we can do, keeping the propagules, weed seeds away from the crop production site. Then another group of actions are aimed at eradication. That means complete removal of weed from the field. But it can be done when the field is having low weed population. And also it can be done when the plants are grown in protected environments. But on a field like this, is it possible to use the eradication method applied here? Very difficult, because the crop is there. If we apply a strong chemical, it will be destroying the weeds. So destroying weeds as well as the crop plants. But when a new weed species is entered into your cropping system, maybe an invasive weed, maybe a weed plant that is not available in your field now, you can have some effort to eradicate that. Now, in our country, we were trying to eradicate some invasive weed plants like Parthenium hysteroporus, then Mimosa pigra, then there are some other few more as well, Iconia crassipes. So, but the thing is, the now my farm, if it is located in maybe on a river bank where the giant mimosa, Yodanidhikumba or Mimosa pigra is spreading nowadays. Actually, it has spreaded into many areas of Sri Lanka. So it is better if I can have a very keen attention on the propagules flown through the water. If the weed is going to be established, I will have to quickly identify it and remove it, completely remove the weed plants like Mimosa pigra, and there are local things like Vatupalu, I think that is Cromalina. So anyway, then Lantana camera, the Kandapana. So those are the weed plants to be eradicated because the threat by those weeds will be very high. So there can be some normal weed plants also that should be eradicated. If the particular type is not available in your field, then better to have eradication. So these actions are actually control methods. That means direct action to reduce establishment in the field or direct actions to remove from the field, eradication. Then the methods of weed management. Now, what are the differences between? So better to have it cleared before going into the management methods. Now, here we mention weed controlling method. Here we mention weed management methods. Management, control. Yes. Your ideas, please. Management and control. Have a look at these methods. Manual weeding, mechanical method, biological control, structural methods, chemical methods. And the previous one? Control method. Weed-free planting material, clean equipment, quarantine measures, maintain weed-free surrounding, complete removal from our field. What is the major difference here? Yes, the translation is Kalamanakarne Kiri. What is the difference between Kalamanakarne and Palane? No, Palane is control. Mehim. Yes, please.
කළමනාකරණයේදී අපේ වල්පල ඇටි වලට එන්න නොදී බලා ගන්නවා. මැනේජ්මන්ට් වලදී ආපු වල්පල ඇටි මර්ධනය කිරීම ගැන වැඩිපුර.
Management කියන්නේ කළමනාකරණය. හැබැයි ඔය කිව්වේ කාරි. අපෝ කියන්නකෝ ඒක කළමනාකරණය කියන්නේ.
කළමනාකරණය කියන්නේ සර් මේ වල්පල ඇටි ක්ෂේත්‍රයට ආවන් පස්සේ ඒක පාලනය කරගන්න.
හරි. ඔය management කිව්වේ මොකද්ද?
දැන් ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ තියෙන එක ගැන තමයි මම කිව්වේ.
Right. Okay. Now, when you say manage, control, when we say control, see, these actions are focused to have weed-free systems. Or here we are trying to just control, remove, destroy weeds, right? So the task is now here eradication means complete removal, 100% removal. But in management, what we do when we apply these actions, now when we say management, it is a kind of maintaining weed population at a certain level so that there is no economic hazard, environmental hazard, or any other threat for the crop, but gives some kind of a benefit. Understand? So we maintain the weed population under control so that the weed population will not cause any hazard, but it will be giving some kind of a benefit like prevention of soil erosion, prevention of maybe wind erosion, water erosion. Then when the weeds are at higher level, some insects will be surviving in the weed plants when they are in higher number. It reduces the ventilation among crops. So many things are there. So earlier we mentioned about controlling weeds and we explained about how to control. And weed management means now the concept is that maintaining the population at a level that is not hazardous and giving some kind of benefits maybe, or at least being at neutral level. So why should we go for management rather than eradication? Maybe prevention is of course something we can do with minimum hazard to the environment. But for eradication, you need to put many efforts, very strong efforts, so that the weeds are removed 100%. That is very difficult. So the quarantine measures, all these are preventing the establishment. So you check your planting material, you check your seed purchased for crop establishment. If there are any weed seeds, you are not going to establish using that weed consignment, right? So manual weeding, removing manually, then use of machines, mechanical methods like use of different tools, equipment, of course, and machines. So during use of these mechanical method, the efficiency is higher than manual weeding. At the same time, there are no efficient machines to uproot, but you can use turning of the soil, burying weeds or weed propagules or seeds into the soil. But you can try to turn the soil in a way that the propagules, seeds or weed plants are buried in the soil. Then the biological methods, that means the natural enemies of the weeds. What they can do? How do you think? Now there are these insects. Maybe they are natural enemy. That is why I put it there. So this is these are some examples. So 2 types of Neochatina bruchi, 2 species. Then this is one of the success story in our country. Actually, not yet 100% success, but now the Iconia is controlled in many locations using this bruchid. It is destroying the leaf sheath of Iconia crassipes, and that leaf, actually better to say leaf petiole, that the differentiated petiole to float on water. This adult one is damaging that petiole, and the Iconia plant is sunk once the damage is done by this insect, and they will go to another plant. So then sometimes the fungi, the fungal spore suspension can be sprayed on the weed population. So the disease of this plant can be useful for controlling the plants that are having diseases caused by this fungus. Now, when we are using such a fungus, we have to be very careful. Why? Now, okay, so Teshala, can you say why it is very important to have some special attention when we use a pathogen that is causing diseases to plants to control weed population? Now, if we use this type of a pathogen, spores of the pathogen, then one major thing is we have to have the assurance that this pathogen is not causing any damage to our crop plants or other beneficial plants. So the biological control is very good, but it is necessary to study them, study the biology of the natural enemy as well as biology of the crop plant, so that there will be no accidental damage, at least on our crop plant or other beneficial plants in the agroecosystem. Then when we use mulching, you know what is a mulch. So a mulch will be blocking the emergence of weed plants, seedlings. Then intercropping is a method that is not allowing weeds to establish well. For an example, if I am growing chili in my field now, I have now for a rotation, actually I have to have segments of my field. That means sections. Suppose that I have 4 sections. Then in one section, this season I am growing soya. In other section, I am growing chili. In another section, I am growing sweet potato. And the 4th one, I am growing rice. Now, rice is a lowland crop. In the 4th one, I am growing maize, right? So, now, though there are 4 different crops, so 4 different crops are having different spacing, space between the lines, 4 different varieties of the same crop may be there, but better to have different species. Then the canopy cover of the crop spacing will be different. Then height of the crop canopy is different. Applied fertilizer types are different. Many differences are there. So because of that, when I'm growing chili plant in one plot, and in the next season, instead of chili, another crop will come into that plot, soybean. Then with the soybean, the previously adapted weeds cannot be survived because now my cultural practices are different. Other inputs are different. So the seedlings established by soya will be confused about the new conditions. So likewise, once in the season, there is a change. That change is named as crop rotation. So crop rotation is an efficient method of weed management. It can minimize the use of herbicides or chemicals. So chemicals should be applied when all other methods are not sufficient enough to control the pest. Then herbicides should be applied with special attention to prevent the damage to the crop, damages to the applicator, and of course minimizing the damage to the environment other than the wheat plants. So by adapting preventive methods, eradication and weed management methods, we can have a well-managed cropping system with minimum problems caused by weeds. So see that even this picture shows the management of weeds rather than controlling or eradication. Now, this person is slashing using a grass cutter weeds. So they mean this farm, they are not willing to remove the whole ground cover because they wanted this ground cover for a longer duration. Why? The crop is a perennial crop. The ground cover is a must to prevent the soil erosion and moisture conservation. So because normally these crops are not irrigated in many cases, may be cultivated in areas with high rainfall or intermediate or wet zone or in upcountry relevant zones. But when the weeds are grown for a certain extent, we have to make them under control. So that is the concept of weed management. And we have listed the methods very briefly. Now, it is the time for your clarifications. If you want to ask anything about the things we have discussed. I saw that not only so, I felt that some of you have good attention. Those who are responding me verbally and some sending text messages, but with the text messages, as you can see that and as you can feel, I am unable to give quick feedback when you are sending messages because I am using a separate monitor to have more facility, and the text messages are appeared on the first screen. I am using the second screen for my attention or guideline. And the other thing is, of course, it is necessary to have good understanding on what we do in the field. So, to achieve that good interaction between us, your responses are see that almost all responses are correct, perfectly correct. Sometimes that your questions were with very high value, attention, and because of the necessity of answering, I have explained some important things as an answer to some of your questions. So I am thanking those who raised questions, who raised their voices by sharing information. So your questions, please. You can ask any question. Okay, then there can be two reasons for lack of questions. Maybe, no, not two reasons, maybe more than two. One is you understood everything. The second thing is you have not understood anything. The third one is you are in a hurry to go to other work or to have lunch. So maybe some other reason as well. So no questions. Right, Tarushi, Varunita, so those who responded, then Shehari, Teshan, Teshala. Any question? Anything to clarify? Varunita, are you here? Then Shehari,
Yes, sir.
right, okay. Anything you want to tell or ask anything? No question?
No, sir.
Right, okay. Right, okay then. Varunita is also silent. Then Teshala is also not having any question. Right, okay. Then I can remember other two. There only I saw some numbers only. Few male voices were there, but on anyway, okay, right. Then as you wish. So then hope you had some understanding earlier because of your previous studies, and then today maybe you have added something new into your knowledge, and I felt that those who responded, they also have a good yes, background on the topics we have discussed today. So to all of you, thank you very much for your attention given, and we will meet again on another session, and so wish you good studies, and I am always welcoming your comments, any suggestions to have something more, some additional thing or different way of communication. If you want me to change my style or anything, please let me know by sending some messages at least, or verbally you can unmute your microphone and tell me now. Otherwise, you can send any kind of text messages, whether you understood or not, any questions, so that anything to clarify, even I can take them during the next day as well. So,
Excuse me, sir, the way you are conducting the lecture is very good. That is good.
okay, thank you.
When you upload this presentation, sir?
Yes, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so the video will be uploaded. So thank you for your appreciation and yes, evaluation. Thank you. May I know your name, if possible, please?
I am Hudson.
Okay.
Hudson De Silva.
Right, okay. Thank you very much. Right, okay then. Thank you very much, all of you, for your attention, for your studies, and wish you all the best, good health, good efficient studies.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much. You all are welcome.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.